Good morning to all of you out there. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, wishing you a pleasant day. And I hope that you are all doing well in spite of the fact that the weather, at least here in Metro Manila, is quite cloudy, a bit gloomy, overcast. And yesterday was a whole morning, afternoon of showers. But seems to have dried up now, and we welcome you to the program. You are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250. And we invite you to subscribe, because if you subscribe, particularly if you get a subscription for PLDT Home Fiber, 100 Mbps, yun na po ang kunin ninyo para wala kayong laglag dyan. Hindi lang lag, pati laglag, okay? And pwede nyong isabay. You can package that with your Signal TV subscription. In the meantime, just so you know, it's February 10, 2021, Wednesday po, dun sa mga hindi na nakakaalala, those of you who don't even remember what a calendar looks like. I think a lot of publishing or printing companies lost a lot of money because maraming hindi na nagpapaprint ngayon ng kalendaryo. Okay, and today we will be talking to Senator Win Gatchalian, a regular on agenda, and let's find out what's going on in the Senate, kasi kahapon medyo nagkainitan na po. Medyo nagalit na si Senator Richard Gordon. Yung mga ibang senador nagalit na rin. Si Grace po. Ang kinagalitan yung LTO. And like I said, anak ng ewa naman. Tagal-tagal na natin dito sa Pilipinas. Duling pa rin tayo. Why beat up on the errand boy? Diba? Eh, sorry sa mga taga-LTO, hindi ko sinasabing utusan lang kayo, no? Pero technically, that's what it is. You have been instructed to implement the program. You are doing a program, but you're not the author of the program. So why beat up on you? Yan ang po eh. Kasi doon ako nagtataka. Why are the politicians beating the wrong horse? Okay? Because it is not the LTO that came up with that super deal that gives 15 billion pesos to private companies to put up the facilities. Kumbaga kasi may insider information din naman tayo dyan. Hindi ba? Nadidinig natin, naalaman natin. Matagal lang gusto ng LTO magkaroon ng mga motor vehicle inspection system. Pero sila, tiga-patupad lang. Yung budget, hinihingi yan ng DOTR, ginajustify yan ng DOTR, yung program ginagawa ng DOTR. So why beat up on the LTO? In any case, we will be speaking to Senator Win Gatchalian, but yung main agenda is the face-to-face resumption of classes. Pero marami namang mapapag-usapan. Okay, and then after Senator Win Gatchalian, we will speak to Dr. Anthony Leachon, because to be quite honest, if you go through the news today, the newspaper and all the available info online, etc., baka ma-depress po kayo. Kasi parang lahat na lang problema. You know, there is now this issue with AstraZeneca. There have been some setbacks, or ewan ko ba kung ano yung mga naging problema nila. But the World Health Organization is saying, huwag niyong ilalaglag yung AstraZeneca. It is a vital component to our fight against COVID-19. Kasi marami pong mga lumalabas at nagpapalabas, okay, ng mga bali-balita. There are a lot of, well, I have to call it a friend of mine, big, businessman, senior, well-informed, sent me a packet of materials or links on Viber that was also sent to him. My wife went through each and every one of them. Sablay, puro headline terrorism. Pero pag binasa mo yung, if you read the main articles of those links and headlines, it doesn't say anything bad about vaccination. So clearly, the anti-vaccine groups or people, the anti-vaxxers, are going to twist things around to scare everyone. Well, it's really your choice. You are old enough to commit the fatal mistake of your life. Pag na-COVID kayo, all you need to do is see someone dying or talk to the nurses, talk to the doctors who have had to watch people die from COVID-19. It is a painful, expensive, and difficult way to die. Nako po, kahirap mamatay sa COVID-19. And it doesn't end with you dying. It is extended with your family not even being able to say goodbye or bury you and mourn for you. Kasi pagtanggap nila sa'yo, abo ka na. Okay, so let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. Upon conducting an inquiry into the private motor vehicle inspection centers or PMVICs, senators are now calling for the suspension of its operations. Okay, very interesting. Itigil daw muna ang ang medyo dapat siguro dito they should investigate the fact that there was no bidding, no public bidding. Okay? Look into how the process was shortcut. Yun po. Yun. Tsaka second, bakit puro private cars na naman? Bakit hindi inuna muna yung public utility vehicles, trucks, and buses? Okay. AstraZeneca or Pfizer? President Rodrigo Duterte is leaving it up to his doctors on which brand of COVID-19 shot he should take. Diba? Okay, kasi parang may endorsement na rin yun eh. Kung ano yung gamitin ni Presidente Duterte, di syempre sasabihin ng tao, si Digong, yun ang ginamit. Yun ang gusto ko. Para ka ng ring product endorser, Mr. President. Ang importante, magpabakuna. Importante makita ng Pilipina nagpapabakuna ang ating mga leaders. Okay, the Philippine Retailers Association, on the other hand, is pushing for retail frontliners to also be part of the vaccine priority list. Kumbaga, ito yung mga dicers, yung mga merchandisers, ito yung mga nandoon sa mga nagbebenta kasi sila yung laging kahalubilo ng tao. Ang problema kasi dito, when you allow one, you will have to allow everybody. Sa bagay, mostly retails. Because truth be told, I heard of a story that I wasn't so sure, but the source was very reliable. And he said that a gentleman who owns a chain of gasoline stations shared how all of his gasoline boys all got COVID-19 one way or the other. Naka-mask daw, naka-social distance, pero lahat sila tinamaan. Siguro isa lang tamaan, lahat sama-sama na. But, and then a friend of mine who actually manages a gas station recently asked for prayers because she got COVID-19. So parang sabi ko, ay kabilin-bilinan ko pa naman sa kanya. Sabi ko, mag-iingat ka. Kasi nadinig ko nga itong sitwasyon na ito, itong kaso na ito, mag-iingat kayo dyan sa gas station ninyo. So here, going to that story, the Retailers Association, I guess there is validity in the fact that pati sila ay laging sa pool. Okay. Meanwhile, in other news, the spokesman of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. has apologized to the reporter whom he hinted at suing for reporting on a petition against the anti-terror law. Okay, ewan ko, mabuti naman po na nagawa yan ni General Parlade because, you get, you attract, ito na naman, you attract more flies with honey. Ah, kaysa sa yung with bitterness. Huwag po tayo puro away. Kung meron ka nabasang ganon, di kausapin ninyo, sabihin nyo, iha, or ano, kapatid, hindi naman totoo yan eh. Ganito yung ito yung data. Kasi po yung mga reporter, kung ano lang yung dumating o available, di syempre yun ang ire-report. Ayaw ninyong magpa-interview, hindi kayo ma-reach, playing hard to get. Hindi po military. Anyone in government, in business, private sector, I've always taught this in my classes, okay? When you opt to keep your distance, okay, parang sinabi mo na rin dun sa mga kaaway mo, sige, banatan ninyo ako, gamitin niyo yung media. Kasi ayaw din ninyong sabihin yung side ninyo. Okay, let's now go to our first interview, a regular and an appreciated source of agenda, Senator Win Gatchalian. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Cito. Good morning to our listeners and televiewers.
Okay, how are you doing, Mr. Senator? Kamusta ang pamilya? Is everybody in good health, I pray?
So far, so good. Let me just say this. If you practice wearing mask, shield, practice social distancing, it's effective. And so far, my family have avoided contracting the COVID virus by practicing all these health protocols. It may sound simple as it is, but it's quite effective. And let's avoid also yung mga matataong lugar at communal eating. I heard earlier yung mga car washing boys. And actually, to be honest about it, this is the most of the mistakes that our constituents make, no? Yung kainan. Because they keep their guard down, they put their mask down, and that's where they get infected. So for now, let's avoid all of this communal eating and practice the health protocols.
Okay, well, that's a good suggestion, Mr. Senator. At saka, yung isa pa, mag-ingat din po tayong lahat doon sa ating mga kasambahay, mga driver, etc. Kasi yan, yes, sir. Kasi yan ang lagi kong nadidinig sa mga kaibigan nating tinamaan ng COVID. Sabi ko, paano? Paano ka tinamaan ng ingat-ingat mo? Pare, yung sekretarya ko hinahatid pa namin sa bahay. Nakalimutan namin na may mga ibang tao doon sa bahay. Yung driver ko, wala namang diferensya. Pero nung pinatest ko, COVID positive. So, we will also have to test the people who work with us or around us. Anyway, Senator, nanggigigil yung aking executive producer kasi frustrated principal itong si Gabi. gusto niya. No, he's very interested, and I think a lot of Filipinos are wondering, will we ever get back to face-to-face classroom settings? Yung mga bata ba makakabalik sa eskwela? Kasi I've noticed in our situation, while certain departments are in charge of certain things, it is still the IATF that makes the decision. And yet, when you ask around or when you ask them, who's in charge of this particular problem or who's in charge of that particular problem, parang the impression I get is, pag may nauna, sulong. Whoever's proposal or solution is presented first, that's what happens. Now, with this face-to-face education, what is our situation?
Well, Cito, that is the million-dollar question. No? When can we open classes using face-to-face or back to face-to-face? And it's really a moving target. In fact, I've been monitoring what's happening outside of the Philippines, the US, Europe. Talagang open, close rin sila. But the only research that came out about face-to-face classes by CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, by the US, and they were saying because of this almost 1 year of analysis and observation, they concluded that schools are not the haven for virus contraction. So meaning students can actually avoid contracting the virus in schools. And the logic for that is because in schools, they're monitored. They practice health protocols, social distancing. in their homes or outside the school, we cannot control them anymore. So that's the only research that I've seen so far that stated that schools can be a safe haven for a virus-free environment. But having said that, of course, iba yun sa states, iba yun dito. Dito, we have to analyze that research very carefully and see if that's adaptable here. And but it's a moving target. Kanina lang
Yeah.
when I was running, I saw on the news that our infection rate has jumped to 2% again. So nananalo na tayo, below 1%, but again it jumped to 2%. So in other words, as soon as we leave our guards down, these things can happen. The virus infection rate can go up again, and that will prompt our decision makers to postpone and to take a safer route of postponing face-to-face classes.
Okay, Senator, what about doing pilots or parang, laboratory type settings? Because there are places that claim to be COVID-free. And
400, Cito, I looked at the numbers again, about 408 LGUs out of 1,500 are COVID-free, zero COVID sila. Especially in the
okay,
islands, for example,
yeah,
Batanes, Siquijor, this type of island provinces, zero sila in some of their municipalities.
yeah,
And
like Bohol.
I've been advocating that since end of last year because there's no substitute for face-to-face classes here in our country, Cito. The learners will absorb the lessons faster and deeper if they have face-to-face classes, meaning they can interact with their teachers. But that naudlot yun because of the new variant that all of a sudden appeared in our country. And
Yeah.
that's why DepEd postponed it for a while. But then again, I say this, face-to-face classes, the decision is a moving target. As soon as we have knowledge of what's going on and we adjust to the environment of preventing infection, then we can actually open some face-to-face classes in zero-risk areas or low-risk areas. Case in point, that 400 LGUs that I mentioned. May mga LGUs, Cito, na never had COVID from the beginning because they're so remote, they're so far that they never had COVID. And this type of LGUs, I think, with proper health protocol, can conduct face-to-face classes.
Yeah, but then, so if there are 400 LGUs, then why not push for that? Because I'm sorry, I don't want to be critical. I'm talking more like a, business advisor or, an analyst. But the way it comes across, pag may biglang pumutok na baka-baka, masyado ng paranoid. And I respect the DOH, I respect the IATF. They're only trying to protect the public good, and the general welfare. Pero parang like this COVID variant, it did not alter the status of those 400 LGUs, or at least I'd like to believe that. Those island municipalities and provinces. Now, but parang lahat damay. Whereas there are areas where we could try to normalize, try to get life going, and try to have a better situation for the children, we are just saying, and I hate to say this, pero parang style tamad, lahatan na lang, para wala na tayong problema, without realizing that by simplifying the management style here, you are actually creating problems down on the ground. So what about, calling that out, Senator? Kasi kayo, may power kayo dyan sa Senado. I know the DepEd wants to do it. But walang magawa rin yung DepEd. Kasi at the end of the day, sasabihin ng IATF, no, we don't want an increase in case rates.
These are tough decisions, Cito. If you ask me, on face value, I would advocate face-to-face classes in those 400 LGUs that don't have any cases of COVID, zero COVID sila. And on the face value, it makes very logical sense that they conduct face-to-face classes because wala naman infection doon.
Mm.
But I also see the bigger point of view of the IATF because they're not only looking at education per se, they're also looking at potential transmission, movement of people, movement of our constituents, a movement of goods, no? Trade and goods. For example, the case in point here is that new variant in Bondok. No? Bondok is
Okay.
a remote municipality up in the mountains. I've been there a few times,
Mm.
and I would never have thought that Bondok will be the hotbed for the new variant. But then
Yeah.
again, we have OFWs that came in and went back to their province. Alam natin, our OFWs are scattered all over the place, even from very far from area. So my point of the matter there is, yes, we advocates, you and I are advocates of education on face value. We want to pursue face to face because it's effective. But I also see the point of IATF looking at the bigger picture and looking at movement of goods and people and the potential of one area getting hit by this type of new variants or other variants. So they took the conservative route. No? In other words, they took the most conservative and the most safest route.
Yeah, it's the and I don't want to debate with you, Senator Win. It's just that I think certain questions have to be asked coming from other people. No, yes, it's the conservative route. It is the safest in their mind, but is it the right decision? Because like right now, everybody got freaked out by COVID-19, so people stopped going to hospitals because of all the things we were saying na magkakahawahan, may mga problema sa hospital, etc. And now I am shocked. I don't know if it's because I'm more aware of it because of my sister having cancer, but every day na lang nakakadinig na ako and I get messages, email of people who now have to deal with cancer because they missed their appointments, they missed their checkups, they didn't consult with a doctor, etc. So I'm worried, no, na kasi this is my view of things. I'll admit that publicly. This is a personal view. We are deciding for the entire republic based on a Metro Manila context being done by a group of people who are more, who are so small na medyo hindi na nakokonsidera yung 400 na sinasabi mo. And Senator, what about creating facilities that can ensure face-to-face education without the risk of contamination? Di ba pwede naman yon? I-check mo yung mga pamilya, i-check mo yung ruta nila, kung sino yung naghahatid sa kanila. Kumbaga, ginagawa natin sa Malacanang nga, hindi ka pwedeng pumunta kay presidente kung hindi ka magpapa-blood test eh.
One of the proposals, Cito, is a 50% capacity on our schools, no? In those 400 LGUs. So it's not, when we say face-to-face classes, full-blown, 100% of the students will go to classes. We can implement a conservative approach. For example, 50% muna. So that means twice a week they will attend classes. That way, even that twice a week means a lot already for the students and teachers, especially because the teachers are pressured to teach. The teachers are pressured to make sure that the learners are learning. But if they don't have that face-to-face interaction, the only interaction they have actually is through text or through Facebook Messenger, which is quite difficult, especially in remote areas. So we can actually apply conservative methods, to open these classes. But then again, Cito, I truly advocate this, and even last year. But I do understand that it's a moving target. Kanina lang, I saw that infection rate moving to 2%. I was actually shocked because for a very long time we were below 1%. And this goes to show that there is so much things and so many uncontrollable variables in this virus, in light of this virus, that we cannot predict. And IATF is just taking the most prudent and conservative route in order to prevent this from spreading And I think also, no, because my analysis on this, Sito, since the vaccine is already coming, soon, IATF wants to focus on that, making sure that the logistics is in place and making sure that the LGU's attention is fully at the vaccine rollout. If we open classes, it will take attention away, to take concentration away. And one of my, again, this is a analysis, my own analysis. One of the things that I was thinking is IATF wants to make sure that the mayors, the LGUs, have full attention on how to roll out the vaccines in every place, every nook and cranny of our country.
Okay, we'll just go for a quick break, Senator Win. And when we come back, I'd like to ask your reaction dun sa naging issue about, yung grading system that no one left behind. Parang Marines eh, okay? Kahit bobo, hindi ka left behind. Okay, we'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda with Signal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as on facebook.com/OneNewsPH and on YouTube, One News PH. Kahapon po, merong nag-messenger sa akin, nag-message sa FB Messenger, medyo malayong lugar, Europa. Galing sa, hindi ho, Espanya, Manila, Espanya, de Spain, ano? At napapanood din daw tayo doon. So, thank you very much for to our viewers there in Spain. God bless all of you and continue to watch. Medyo delay nga lang yung napanood nila, pero mukhang napapanood naman daw. I don't know how. In any case, let's go back to our guest, Senator Win Gatchalian. Hey, Senator Win, let's move to the no one gets left behind. Sabi ko nga siya, medyo napakamot ako ng ulo. Ang sarap pala maging estudyante ngayon. It's so nice to be a pupil now because there is no such thing as a failing grade. Am I correct in that? I couldn't believe it because in my time, 75, masama ka pa.
Diyan pumapasok Sito yung sinabi mo na convenient. No? It's really convenient to just pass everyone and let them proceed to the next higher grade. No? That's the most convenient way. Huwag na tayo mag-exam or assessment. But that education is not about what's convenient for government. No? It's about making sure that our learners learn and we help those who cannot keep up. So I'm not in favor of that no-fail methodology or no-fail proposal because we have to pinpoint exactly where are the weaknesses of our learners. If the learner is weak in math, if the learner is weak in reading, we have to pinpoint that. Then intervene through tutorials or through one-on-one classes or one-on-one intervention. That way, when he or she moves to the next grade level, he can keep up with the rigors of that next grade level and work well with the next grade level. The problem with a no-pass or all past policies, we cannot pinpoint where are the weaknesses, and it's very difficult for it will be very difficult for the learners to keep up with the next grade level if that learner will have some weaknesses or subjects that he cannot comprehend with.
Okay, given the reality that everything is online, or I think everything is online right now because of the UK variant and all that stuff. How do we even properly assess who's lagging? Kasi parang I remember back in the day and up to now, I think meron tayong first grading exam, second grading exam, third and final. Hindi ko na nadidinig kung meron pang mga exam ngayon kasi parang nauuso kahit doon sa mga universities na no, we don't give tests anymore. You just submit your work and you are judged by your work. Paano ba labanan ngayon?
Tama ka, Sito. No, it's not the usual. There are small quizzes, and then there's a big exam, and there's a final exam. No, even in basic education, it's not the same anymore. DepEd had to innovate and come up with a different assessment system. No, for example, no, in reading, no, or in mathematics, there will be a assessment of some sort. For example, the student will be given a series of tests, and the student will be required to submit a series of, let's say, short written examinations. And based on those examinations, the teacher will assess where are the weaknesses of that student. So it's not the usual quizzes and then exam. There'll be a different assessment methodology. Most likely it will be written, most likely it will be in packets. But the important thing here is we will be able to determine where are the weaknesses, what subject matters needs improvement, what subject matters need interventions.
You know, when all of this started, Senator, I, for one, said that let's just give the kids a 1 year vacation so that we don't complicate matters. Now we have all of this problem, no face-to-face classes, hard to assess the performance of the students. How do we help them catch up? And then apparently there are like 4 million kids who did not enroll this school year. So parang but I don't know how many percent that is of the total, but parang wow, should we just kiss this school year goodbye?
That is for me, a very dangerous policy because, first of all, the divide between the rich and poor will definitely widen. Right now, those who have access to internet and access to laptops and go to exclusive schools or private schools, they can actually study. In fact, a lot of the kids in private school continue to study using online learning.
Yeah.
But if we do decide to cancel classes for the public schools because the public schools don't have much, a lot of our students, almost 70% don't have access to internet, then they will be left behind. We have to innovate, come up with solutions that can reach those learners, and these are the distance learning material that was developed by DepEd. Iba pa yung issues doon. We have to reserve that for another session because that's a whole new different dimension. But the modality that DepEd took, which I agree is through self-learning modules and through different interactions used by the teacher and used by the divisions. For example,
Okay.
Ms. Valenzuela,
Yeah.
just to give you a preview, we use Facebook Live as a mode to teach and deliver to the homes of our learners. So it's one way, in a sense that our teachers deliver it through Facebook Live. The learners can text, the learners can join in the chat, but we all know that it's not as fast at real time. But it somehow, at least in a way, our teachers can explain through live sessions the materials that they have to learn.
Okay, Senator, all this is good. There's programs, there are ideas, there are challenges, but ibaba natin sa katotohanan, and maybe it is something, I don't know if you're investigating or researching on this. The reality, yung bang, kasi sabi mo kanina, internet connection. But what I discovered just this weekend, and I discover every month since 2020, maraming estudyante, no tablet, no cellphone, no nothing. Nakikiupo na lang sa kapitbahay, and kung may COVID doon, magkahawa-hawahan. In fact, I can tell you I'm already taking, I've talked to two kids this weekend, and nagpe-presentang magtrabaho doon sa manukan ko. Sabi ko, ano ba kayo? Hindi kayo pwede, minor kayo, tsaka hindi ko kailangan ng tao. Bakit nagpe-present? Kuya, kasi wala kaming pambili ng tablet. And I mean, of course, we'll cover the kids, no? But it brought something home. There are still children out there who are so poor, they don't have the equipment to study. What is the government doing about this? What funding is there? Kasi noon ko pa sinasabi yan, Senator Win, even before COVID, sabi ko, lahat ng bata bigyan natin ng tablet kahit na made in China para hindi na sila nagsusukbit ng bag at ng mga libro. Senator.
Cito, to answer your question straight, there is very minimal programs that will address precisely what you mentioned earlier. Laptops, gadgets, internet connections to the homes of all of our learners. There is a budget for that, but I have to admit it's not big enough to give laptops and access to the internet to all of our learners. I have a proposal, Cito, no, and this is very ambitious, no, and the proposal is a concept of shared responsibility. Internet connection and laptops and gadgets are basic necessities right now for all learners, no? Just like electricity and water. And my proposal is to give everyone, no, laptops and internet connection, whether in full subsidy or partial subsidy. But it's a shared responsibility of all of us. No? Somebody has to foot the bill. No? So a shared responsibility from us and also from government. And the logic for that is, if we give if we give learners access to the internet and gadgets, the whole country will become progressive. It's not fair and not inclusive if only a handful of people will have access to the internet and progress. It has to be the entire country, and in order to do that, everyone has a shared responsibility.
Okay, siguro, Senator Win, kausapin mo na yung mga magagaling sa PR, sa marketing, gumawa ka na ng movement of share. No, I'm serious. I'm already covering 8 kids with gadgets and connectivity. They even go to the farm to just, study in a corner there for the Wi-Fi. Pero I think many Filipinos want to do this, they just don't realize na, ganun lang ba kamura, makaka-sponsor na ako ng bata. Siguro, if you can do this, Senator Win, huwag ka nang kumampanya sa susunod na eleksyon, panalo ka na. Kasi sa dami ng estudyante na walang Wi-Fi, walang gadget, and maraming Filipino like you and me who have a golden heart and want to share, but just don't know who to trust and where to go. In any case, Senator Win, thank you very much for your inputs this morning, and I'm looking forward to that announcement. Share and care. Tulong tayo. Give a tablet, share and care. Okay, thank you very much, Senator Win. Okay, yan po si Senator Win Gatchalian, and diretso na po tayo kay Doc Tony Anthony Leachon, because medyo isa pa itong mga tungkol naman sa medicine, may vaccine. Let's bring in our friend Dr. Anthony Leachon. He is a former advisor, National Task Force versus COVID-19, and a public health advocate. Doc Tony, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cito. Magandang umaga sa iyo.
Okay, mukhang hindi ka pa nakakapagkape. Ako isang timbang kape na ako, kanya ganito yung level of energy ko. Okay, Doc Tony, I'm sure you've been monitoring the news here and abroad, and while it is praiseworthy that the government is really all hands on deck trying to prepare for the first batch of vaccine. Meron naman nagpuputo kang balita sa abroad na may mga issues about vaccine. What's the situation like?
The situation is like this. Yung old Wuhan strain natin, which was discovered December 2019, and then pumutok yan nung January, nagkaroon niya ng isang strain, yung D614G, sometime in June. Naalala mo Sito siguro nung tumaas ng konti yung spike after the ECQ. And then September 20, 2020, nagkaroon ulit ng another variant sa UK. Ang tawag B117. Kasi ang virus widely yan eh. Nagpapalit ng anyo yan pagka nakakakita ng kalaban. That's why may meron tayong SARS dati, then meron tayong SARS-CoV-2. Tapos mayroon tayong MERS-CoV virus. So coronavirus siya, pero iba-iba ang anyo niya. Kaya bumabalik-balik eh. Itong lately, aside from the B117, dalawang bagong variant na lumabas. Yung South Africa at saka itong Brazilian, they call it the PI. Yung South Africa, they call it the BU1351. Okay? So, dun sa B117, walang problema kasi all the vaccines na approved by the international market, yung Pfizer, Moderna, Astra, pwede dyan. In fact, nagsabi niyan si UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. But 3 days ago, in South Africa, while they're starting with their Astra vaccination, nagkaroon ng problema because the clinical trial in South Africa, nakita nila hindi na prevent yung mild to moderate disease. So ginawa ng health minister nila, pinahinto muna yung vaccination ng Astra doon. So that brings, kasi for the information of everyone, why AstraZeneca is the favorite of the world is they call it the vaccine of the world kasi it's the cheapest at $5 and it is non-profit. Number walang cold chain na kailangan. It's ordinary refrigerator. It's affordable and highly accessible. Thus, nung November, Secretary Galvez and Joey Concepcion Group, together with all the business community, signed a tripartite agreement with Astra, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And then, so okay naman tayo doon. In fact, in Quezon City and most of the LGU, yan din ang ini-endorse natin because yung cold chain infrastructure, wala tayo. Darating na next week or next 2 weeks, yung Pfizer, mas limited, 117,000 doses, then AstraZeneca, mas marami, million. Now, ang naisip ko to while reading it, actually, na-flag ko na yan eh. Na-flag ko na sa aking Twitter account. Kaya lang walang pumapansin kasi something that is complex like this, hindi. But inaral ko na the only way we can address it while the global experts are trying to figure out the situation is to have a travel ban imposed on South Africa. Yan na muna ang dapat nating gawin. Kasi the ordinary old Wuhan strain, which is we have here in the country, and B117, kaya yan ng Astra. Ngayon, mga kababayan, dadalwa pa lang hong approved ng FDA at EUA na bakuna. Yan po ay Pfizer at saka Astra. Susunod pa lang, according to Yusek Eric Domingo, ang Moderna at saka Novavax. Ideally kasi for variants, yung messenger mRNA platform, medyo kayang harapin yung mga variants na yan eh. I think it was really designed that way kasi para sa ganon, less kang or resistant ka to changes in the virus. So yan ang hinaharap natin ngayon. Ang pinaka-immediate na dapat gawin is i-ban muna buti na lang walang direct flight to South Africa. Napakagandang country pa naman nun. So at least yun lang muna while we're sorting it out and the international community. I'm sure WHO will issue an official statement today or the next day
Well,
Kasi it is,
they actually have issued an official statement that the AstraZeneca vaccine is still a vital
yeah.
component for the fight against COVID-19. So bali ang naiiba lang, the exception to the rule right now is what's happening in South Africa. And is it safe to say, Doc Tony, na yon discovery pa lang, hindi, kasi ilang linggo pa lang yun, di ba? O ilang
Yeah.
araw pa lang, it is too early to tell if there is really a problem with the particular strain of COVID-19 in South Africa relative to the vaccine. Kasi parang yung UK variant yan lahat napraning. Pagkatapos kalabas-labasan, para ring ordinaryong COVID-19. Pag nag-ingat ka, hindi ka tatamaan at hindi rin ganon ka-deadly.
Wala namang problema do'n. Kasi if you remember nang nag-alert ang buong mundo, lahat naman sila nag-block sa B117, eh, and then tayo 2 weeks. And then, the IATF loosened their restrictions sa travel ban, those coming from the B117. If you remember that, binalik na nila. And then, inaral muna nila through their genome surveillance studies. Isa lang ang namatay, 84 years old na male, from La Trinidad, Benguet. I think in-announce yan 2 days ago. So apparently, kayang i-contain. Ako naman nag-iisip ng ganito, parang ganito rin ang gusto nating gawin. I-ban mo muna mga 2 weeks ang South Africa, haralin mo yan, lalo na magbabakuna tayo ngayon sa mga healthcare workers natin at saka dun sa ibang sektor. Kasi Astra ang pinakamarami nating in-order, eh. Ngayon,
Correct.
kung lumabas, sinabi ng WHO, walang problema yan, okay lang. Wag lang makapasok sa atin. Ako, yun na
Okay.
nga in-endorse ko sa maraming LGU, Astra, because of the cold chain, eh. So,
Okay, let's go for a quick break, Doc Tony, and after this break, we'll get back to you and pag-usapan natin itong mga samot-saring problema sa vaccine at pati yung mga nagpe-fake news, na pati na yung mga nakapag-aral at may kaya, parang biglang natatanga. Okay, we'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back here on Agenda, and we have with us Dr. Anthony Leachon. Doc Tony, you're back. Okay, pag-usapan natin itong mga other complications. So yung lumalabas dyan sa AstraZeneca, too early to tell. So
too
no.
early to tell. Ang solusyon lang, dalawa lang yan, eh. Travel ban mo muna, pag-aralan mabuti, pero tuloy ang bakuna natin for the Philippines. Kasi
Okay.
ang dominant sa atin is the old Wuhan strain pa rin.
Okay, now the question is, paano kunyari nabakunahan ka na ng AstraZeneca and then biglang sinabi na it only addresses major cases. Kasi parang lumalabas doon sa initial na ano pa lang to, ilang linggo pa lang naman itong a week or 2 weeks old pa lang itong observation na ito, na yung mga mild to moderate parang hindi nakokontra doon sa ibang kaso, pero nakokontra yung severe. Paano pag nagkatotoo yun? Pwede ka pa bang magpabakuna ng Pfizer later?
Well, ang tingin ko diyan mangyayari, hintayin mo muna yung antibodies mo diyan, and then yung magkakaroon tayo ng booster doses diyan later on, eh. Yan ang nakikita ko sa market, na pagka nagkaroon ka ng resistance, booster dose yearly ang gagawin. Yeah, that will be possible unless the dominant strain in the country will be South African, which is next to impossible naman. So, ang gagawin natin, since ang travel natin hindi mare-restrict, sama pa OFW, nagbiyabiyahe ng South Africa, eventually ang mangyayari niyan, the companies, particularly Astra and Pfizer and Moderna, will have booster doses yan to address the variants. Sinabi na yan ng mga pharmaceutical companies eh. In fact, they're doing testings right now on the variants eh. Kaya yan ang pwede mangyari ngayon.
Okay,
So,
pero
natin, yeah, sige.
pwede ba mangyari, Doc Tony, na okay, nabakunahan ako ng vaccine type A in 2021. Tapos 2022 na, di kailangan magpa-revaccinate tayo o sabi mo, booster. Sabi ko, hindi, doon na ako sa vaccine B. Pwede ba yun?
Pwede yun.
Walang problema pala.
Walang
Kasi,
problema.
Pebrero na
problema.
ngayon eh. Pebrero na ngayon. Lalabas yung bakuna. March, April, abutan tayo ng bakunahan siguro. November, after 2 months, after 1 month, 2022 na,
Pwede yan.
paako na ulit. Okay.
Ang hindi pwede, ini-explain ko yung mix and match. Kunyari, ang first dose mo vaccine A, tapos iba yung second dose mo, vaccine B.
Okay.
Bawal yan.
Oo.
Ang dapat pareho. Pero pwede, yung susunod na bakuna, kung ano napili mo bago, basta't umabot ng booster dose yan. Yun ang predominant article sa lumalabas ngayon on considering itong mix and match given the limited supply of vaccines in the market.
Okay, now, the other concern, bago tayo magtapos sa Doc Tony, yung tungkol sa senior citizens. Kasi, time and again, nagiging problema or challenge. Kasi, a lot of people seem to be saying na, pag 65 and above, medyo alanganin na. Baka mas makapaging problema or not. Kasi, what is the medical fact? Kasi yung mga tinamaan doon sa Oslo ba yun?
Norway?
Mga 85 years old plus. Itong sa Bontoc ba yun ang sinasabi mo? La Trinidad, 84 ka mo. So kumbaga, I'm sorry, hindi naman gusto kong iksian ng lifetime ng mga tao, pero sabi nga sa Bible 70, boundary ka na. Anything after 70, regalo na ni Lord. But in this case, what's the real situation for senior citizens?
Well, the senior citizen kinder naman ng Pfizer yan at saka yung mga Moderna. Ganito po yun. If you remember, si Queen Elizabeth 94, si Prince Philip 99, si Pope nagpa-inject yan. Ang nangyari sa Norway, they injected it in above 80s in nursing homes na frail ang sistema nila. Tapos, most of the resident homes are isolated resident homes. Hindi katulad, let's say, in America and UK, you have the complements of all medical team na nandun. And then sa Norway pala, based on the report ng WHO, 400 people die pala every 2 weeks in those nursing homes. So hindi nila masasabing vaccine related to, or they die of the natural death.
Pangkaraniwan na kada linggo o kada 2 linggo, marami na ang pumapanaw dahil sa katandaan at hindi dahil sa bakuna. Okay. Pero yun na nga, pero ngayon yung let's talk about the normal, kasi kahapon sa totoo lang, kinontak ako ng barangay. Sir, sinecheck lang po namin ang personal data ninyo para magpapalista na po tayo ng bakuna. Dito po sa Barangay Kapitolyo, sa Pasig, meron na pong palista sa mga residente na babakunahan. Ang katanungan, paano yung mga senior citizen na gustong magpabakuna? Ano ba yan?
Yan ang dapat natin, misconception yan eh. I think, sabi ko nga, correct ni Secretary Duque yan eh. Kasi napa-issue siya na yung mga immunocompetent ay hindi pwede. Tandaan natin, dalawang edad ang sinasabi nating immunocompetent kaya nagbabakuna. Yung both extremes in life. No? One, yung bata pa kaya lahat nagbabakuna pagkaanak. Pangalawa, pagka 50 ka pababa or 60 pataas, no, nagwe-wane na yung immunity mo. So, tapos may comorbid condition ka, may hypertension ka, diabetes, may cancer ka. Ikaw, ang tawag din, immunocompetent. Ikaw pa nga ang mangangailangan ng bakuna. Huwag ka lang frail. Kaya pagka may pasyente ako, dalawa kasi ang pulmonologist diyan, magpapabakuna ako, Dok. Hindi ako nagpapabakuna. I-clear lang kita na pwede ka. Ngayon may papasok sa akin, may ubo ko, Dok, may sipon. Hindi ka pwede magpabakuna ngayon. Palipasin mo muna ng 2 linggo yan. Pag magaling ka na, magpabakuna ka dun sa kabila. Kasi I'm a cardiologist. I see a lot of patients na mga kailangan ng pneumonia vaccine at saka flu. Kasi pagka nag-pneumonia yung may mga comorbid condition, malala. Kaya dapat bibigyan mo pa nga sila ng bakuna. Kaya in this case, if you are 60 and above, may hypertension, may diabetes, may cancer, may hika, COPD, you can be vaccinated. Wag lang po frail ang inyong body. Kaya dapat enhance niyo yung immune response ninyo. Ngayon wala yun nga example ko eh. Si Prince Philip 99. Queen Elizabeth pwede. So pwede ito. Ngayon, pag dumami ang signal later on ng FDA, nakikita nila marami ang nagkakaproblema 80 and above, magkakaroon yan eventually kasi nandito pa tayo sa interim analysis, hindi pa natin natatapos yung phase 3 trial ng Pfizer, Moderna at Astra. Doon sila magka-cap ng edad. Kunyari, Dengvax ang edad niyan ay 9 to 45. Kasi wala silang pag-aaral that less than 9 will be safe. More than 45 will be safe. Karamihan ng ginagawa namin during my past life, 18 hanggang 70, pwede ka. Ito, wala tong nililibit Kaya kita mo, the first patient pala, si Margaret Keenan, 91 years old na in-injectan ni May Parsons na Pilipina. Again, that is a 91. Now, provided you are in a setting which you can actually make bantay na hindi magkakaroon ng anaphylactic reaction, that is fine. Yan ang nangyayari. Kaya in the States ngayon, hindi ka muna pinapaalis, magkape ka muna dyan, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Tapos nandun na yung EpiPen, yung gamot na antidote, na pagka nagkaroon ka ng allergy, bibigay na kagad sa'yo. Ganun ang nangyayari ngayon.
Okay, well, magandang balita yan, Doc. And I thank you for giving us the examples because there are some quarters who seem to be promoting fear and paranoia regarding vaccines for senior citizens. So, if the first vaccinated person in the whole world was 91 and is still alive, if Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth is 80, 94 na. Mas matanda pa. Matanda pa pala sa lolo ko, no?
Tapos si Prince Philip, 99 years old.
Nabakunahan din, di ba? Yan na po, no? So there is no reason to fear. And the FDA, we have faith and trust in the FDA. Kahit na binabati ko sila, ginagawa pa rin nila yung trabaho nila. So, Dr. Leachon, thank you very much for your time this morning. At least, na-clarify natin yung mga bagay-bagay na yan for the public benefit. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat, Cito.
Okay, that's Dr. Anthony Leachon, former advisor, National Task Force versus COVID-19, a cardiologist of renown, and also a public health advocate. So, yun po, no, sinasabi ni Doc Tony, as far as all of these fears are concerned, nakokontrol naman. May problema tayong South Africa, isara ang Pilipinas sa mga biyahero galing South Africa. Bantayan yung pag-aaral ng World Health Organization kasi hindi papalampasin ng World Health Organization. And kung kayo po ay 65 and above, hello, batang-bata pa kayo kasi si Prince Philip, 99, si Queen Elizabeth, 94, nabakunahan yung unang-unang taong nabakunahan sa mundo ng Pfizer. Pfizer vaccine was 91. Ang nagbakuna sa kanya, Pinay. So ano pa ang kailangan nating pruweba? Okay, that's all for today. I'm Cito Beltran and that's Agenda for You. God bless and have a great day ahead.
Jay, uno. Uno, check, 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 check. Lapel 1, check, 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 check. Dos, check, 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 check.